Well, once again, you missed the best show before we started recording. But Happy New Year, everybody, and it's coming up, and we hope you had a good year and wish you the best for next year. And Greg, how was it up at the North Pole?
It was awesome. I jingled all the way, and
I jingled all the way.
But this is a great way for
it's
a great way for the carnival to go out to the end of the year. It's been a great year. Next year should be better for us. But we have such a great show this week. I can't even talk about it anymore. So Greg or Steve, introductions.
It's incredible that we have two of Rochester's finest musicians with us.
What about me?
This week. Oh, yeah, you two, Greg. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Don Mancuso and Ron Rocco with us this week.
Yeah.
And it's really an honor.
Welcome back, Don. You're a brave man.
Yes. I've been here before.
Yeah.
And
so these gentlemen played in a very popular band that came out of Rochester. We're going to find out a little bit about that later on. A band called Black Sheep. That their lead vocalist was none other than Mr. Lou Gramm, or back then was Lou Grammatico. And we're going to find out a lot about the beginnings and the middles and the endings and everything else in between with these fellas today. And I'm really anxious to hear some great stories with these guys.
I thought we were going to talk about Christmas cookie recipes.
That's at the end of the show.
I know we got some great stories from these guys. We were chit-chatting earlier and
stay tuned. You can buy
with and things like that.
For only $20 next year the Carnival Fly on the Wall session.
Yeah. That's right.
Featuring all the talks we don't have on here.
And a few jokes maybe thrown in just to keep things on the light side.
So, yeah. I know I have a couple connections with you guys because I was back in a couple bands in the early 70s. Dick Grammatico had a band called Firecat, and I started doing that, and then I bowed out of that, and then Ronnie took over. Ron Rocco took over on that one, and I played with Donnie in a band called Ram. Was like 74-ish or so, I think, and all that stuff.
No, it was late 70s.
So late 70s?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of good. It's great that we're all still doing it.
Yeah,
number one.
it is. We're blessed.
And
we're all about the same age. And I just found out that Ron and I are 10 days apart in our age. I'm the 14th of March, and Ronnie's the 24th. So I'm the older and wiser of the two.
So what else do you want to talk about besides age?
Yeah.
Well, how did everything come together? What muse popped in your head that got you so interested in music, sort of your influences, and how did you meet up, form the band?
Go ahead, Ron. You can let them know how you.
Well, who was the first drummer in Black Sheep?
Oh yeah, we talked about that fly on the wall discussion.
Everybody, get your pens out. I'm so sick of hearing.
There's going to be a test later.
People get it wrong.
Yes.
One day I was at Denny's even, and some guy was talking, overheard him, that he was in Black Sheep, and he was the drummer in Black Sheep. So I walked over to the table, and I shook his hand. I said, "Hi, I'm the drummer in Black Sheep." Let's get it right. Here we go. Everybody thinks I'm the original drummer in Black Sheep. You would be wrong.
We're both not original members, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mike Bonafide is the longest drummer in Black Sheep. The longest tenured.
Yeah.
I am not the original drummer of Black Sheep.
You're the cutest.
Well,
no.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But the original drummer in Black Sheep, to my knowledge, was Lou Gramm.
That's
and I'm surprised that he doesn't talk about it often because he's an excellent drummer.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
he's a great drummer. Yeah.
When you ask me about an influence, Lou was in the 6th grade. I was in the 4th grade, and I watched him play the Star Spangled Banner on this big, thick chrome snare drum. And my heart started pounding, and I went home to my parents that I had to have it. A few years later, Lou's coming to the brass rail to see my band Rooster, and giving me a thumbs up. He was very nice. And the next thing I knew, I replaced him on drums. So I am the original drummer in Black Sheep with the configuration of Lou Gramm up front singing.
Okay.
And on the recordings.
Right.
So there, it's finally clear.
Set in stone.
No. Make sure you write that down.
That was perfect.
Okay.
It was perfect.
I couldn't have said
so
it.
You guys were all Gates Chile guys, right?
Yeah.
All right.
You guys are all West Siders.
Except for me, yeah, I was the Northwest side.
Northwest.
And watching Lou play drums and sing at the same time, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And every time I have a conversation about Lou or something, I always make sure to tell people we've had some great times and some rough times, but without him, I wouldn't be a drummer today.
Okay.
I would never have gotten into music.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was and then my biggest influence, I have to say, if I have any, I tried not to listen to the radio much, but would be John Bonham.
Okay. Now, with that being said, I was going to ask you if you can go back to when you were a lot younger. Is there a Beatles influence? Because you and I are 10 days apart, and we grew up in the late 50s, early 60s, listening to music, obviously. Was there an influence when the Beatles hit on Ed Sullivan? Because I know I sat there and my jaw dropped, and that's what so many of us wanted to play music because of the Beatles. Was there an influence? Did you watch that Ed Sullivan show, or maybe Donnie, you did? Was there any influences there between you?
Yeah, I was glued to the TV.
Yeah, I think, a lot of us were. I mean, it started a whole industry,
Yeah.
So all of a sudden everybody's buying instruments. And
them and the Rolling Stones.
Taking one.
And when I saw the Stones, I was like, oh my God, they got two of them.
Yeah.
Here comes the hate mail. I didn't get influenced by the Stones or the Beatles.
Okay.
Consciously.
Yeah.
My band, I did see that show, by the way, and you had to love the Ed Sullivan thing and all the movies. And
yeah,
that was incredible. It'll never be done again.
Come on, Elvis.
But my band influenced me the most vocally and even musically was the Hollies.
Oh, I love the Hollies.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
They were another
Bobby
one.
Elliott,
That was it.
so underrated as a drummer. But he's got some
woman.
chops, man. Bobby Elliott, I read his book. If you haven't read it, it's an incredible story from Bobby Elliott of the Hollies.
They were great. They were really, really good.
See, and I'm more Kinks and Who, actually.
The Kinks and the Who,
you know.
too.
Vocals.
Yeah.
Oh my
And the
God.
Animals, there's another. I'm into the British Invasion thing, man. Those bands, except for maybe Herman's Hermits.
But actually, going back to those times when you were growing up, because now we take it for granted, I could be ordering something, and considering somebody stole my Charlie Brown Christmas CD in the mail, I could order that again. But I could order something right now. I could order... But where did you find your music when you were growing up? Like when you got your little money around, money you found under the couch, or paper route money, or something. Where did you go find go buy the albums or whatever they were out?
Yeah, where'd you buy your music?
Well, all the department stores had records.
Disc records, man. Come on.
Yeah, I worked at
Jay's
record stores.
Jay's Record Ranch, downtown. Yeah.
We worked at Disc Records. I worked at another record store out on the West Coast called, what was it? Can't remember the name of it. It was a huge change. It was
Tower?
in the mid. Yeah,
Tower Records.
Worked there for a couple of years while I was in college out there.
I worked at Disc Records.
Yeah, I got a great collection. I was going through them the other day, man. I just told him I
Still got them, huh?
Yeah, a bunch of really wild, out of the blue and blue vinyl.
Ooh.
Wow.
I was like, it's got to be worth $1 million, right? I get on you. Yeah, it's only $100.
That's actually because my first album I ever bought,
I know.
scrounged up my own money. I went to a Gold Circle and got the Beatles 67 to 70 on the blue vinyl.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I liked it. Blue, they had white vinyl.
Yeah.
They had red for their red one for the Beatles album. I know that.
I picked up the later, newest, one of the newer, the Alison Krauss and Robert Plant.
Oh, yeah.
I found it, believe it or not, I found it at a Cracker Barrel. It was $25, and it's on this white vinyl, like a really nice marbly. Oh, it's really cool. It's a great album.
Great.
But I mean, it's amazing. Vinyl's kind of creeping its way back into all these places.
I know they're recording it digital, and then we're putting it back to vinyl.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of stupid, right?
Yeah. Everything comes full
It makes
circle.
my brain hurt.
It does.
So, Donnie, you said you were, the second guitar player with Black Sheep?
Yes.
How did you ease it?
There wasn't anybody before me. Did Rudy play in it or something at one point?
There was a lot of
It was basically Richard, his brother, that was
Dickie.
there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Richard Gramm.
So Richard was the original guitar player, then you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, he was on the demo.
There's a lot of guys that I heard of that this guy came down, that guy. But guys that stuck and made a difference. There's Richard Gramm. There's
Richard.
Donnie.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
I remember you guys. To me, it was new to me because the heavier sound. So because I was into a pop thing in high school, I was listening to Three Dog Night and Grassroots and all that horse shit. But I love
a song like that.
It was music.
Yeah. I like all the stuff. It's just I'm a more poppy guy, and I always have been. But you guys kind of got into that whole thing like the Spooky Tooth. Heavy
blues,
sludgy grooves, and that always I was like, wow. And that's like, Ron, what I was saying to you earlier before we started was the reason Richard wanted me to listen to the Black Sheep demo, is he wanted me to get that style that you had. And so it was kind of good. I mean, I never knew how to play like that and just like lay it down and play, as we said, behind the beat and all that kind of stuff.
And slow tempo.
And not put
I had to relearn
all kinds of crazy crap in there. But it's hard to do.
It is.
Greg, you're a great drummer. What are you even talking about?
But I had to learn.
I'm giving you a reason why he is a great drummer.
I had to learn.
I like the way you play.
Well, thank you.
I don't think you have to.
But I'm just saying, I had to learn back in those days. I had to learn stuff. I was just putzing around with it. But I think it's great. You learn that style, then you move on to other things. You learn,
I still do it today.
Yeah. We learn from each other.
Nashville drummers play different than L.A. drummers. And play different than English drummers. It's all.
Yeah.
That's true. You have to draw from the well,
That's right. Ron and I were talking earlier about how, you go hear a group, and of course, you zero in on the person that is playing the instrument that you play. So for Ron and I, and for you, Greg, would be the drummers, obviously. You watch, you listen, you might pick up something. You might pick up something that you'll incorporate in your style of playing. And it's always good to do that. So you're kind of stealing something. If you want to call it that, you're stealing something. But it's also admiration.
You'll never be able to do it the original.
It's admiration for the player.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like modifying a car or something. You take a part from the car that shouldn't be there, and you put it in there, and hey, guess what?
It's different now. It has character.
Right.
It's a little bit of a rev on the red line.
Oh, there we go. So talk a little bit like when you started playing with Black Sheep. What was the local scene like? Where did you play? What were your first gigs with them?
Well, you could tell them more about that. They ripped me right out of high school. So I
remember Lou and myself. I don't know if Bruce was there, but we went right to Donnie's high school, and he's not kidding when he says we went into the classroom and got him.
Really?
Out of school to go on tour. 10 years after that was at that time.
No, it was the original one of the Mohawk Trail. When we were doing the gigs in Massachusetts along the Mohawk Trail.
Then I'll take his word on that because I'm a little foggy there, but we did grab him out of school.
No kidding.
I can't imagine. That would be awesome. Like, hi, he has to go. He's going on tour.
Yeah, I lost a lot of friends.
And the big thing is, there were bands around.
It's jealousy. It's like, why would they be jealous? I'm just trying to pursue a career.
Yeah, well, I think nobody really wanted to put that kind of effort into a band. They just wanted to do it for fun, for giggles, and
always
girls,
be
and all
on the
that
back
stuff.
burner.
Oh, girls come along with the scenario?
Sometimes.
I had friends like in high school.
That's what you leave.
I had friends in high school with their bands, some of them, and one of my very good friends, Rob Mount, he's never stopped. He's always been serious. He's played with lots of people. But a lot of people they had it in their head, we're going to play. They never practice or anything. But within a year, they were going to be world touring famous. And none of them ever came out to be anything, obviously.
Yeah, well, it's good to have
because
dreams.
Because there's reality in what you think in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, dreams and dreamers are two different things. You got to pursue a dream and not just think about it.
Yeah, Lou mentions the Orange Monkey gig.
Yeah.
I will not get involved with the door. I will not get involved.
No quote.
Pierre, I'll never forget that.
So it turned into a concert.
The band pays.
Yeah. So they turned into a concert according to the book, and you had a full house. Everybody was sitting and listening. It was a concert more than a dance or whatever you want to call it at the club. And I guess Lou was really excited at the end of the night. He had a packed house. He goes to the owner, and he's all excited, and he's looking for another gig. And the owner tells him, "You'll never play here again because I didn't make any money." Is there some truth to that?
I think it happened at certain rooms. If they were dance clubs, because we weren't like a real high-energy dance band.
I never remember that happening at the Orange Monkey.
I wasn't there with them at that point, but he might have been. He might have been on drums. At that point, and I could believe that.
Did you say drums or drugs?
No, drums.
Oh, drums.
Or maybe both.
It could be a little both.
Okay.
My ears aren't what they used to be.
What was the experience like of making the album? I mean, was it a dream come true thing, or was it just this is a lot of work? This isn't anything what we thought it was going to be. I mean, what was the experience like? Ron.
Okay, Ron. Ron raised his hand.
Story time. No, I remember somebody told me I got such a really good drum sound in the studio for where we were at in the recording, and it did sound great. I wasn't thrilled with the way they sounded at the very end. I don't know what happened, but Shelly Yakis, I think was the president of the record company, remember him?
Capital?
The name? He asked me to come down to Studio A and tune this snare drum.
Okay.
And I had to go into these sheets and tune this snare drum. And because he liked the way my drums were tuned. And he said, we're having a terrible sound with this drum sound. I go, okay, but whose drum am I tuning? And it was 1974. And it was Grand Funk Railroad's drums.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
So maybe, I don't know, I got to do the research, and maybe I tuned the snare drum on some kind of wonderful.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? I don't know if that timing works out, but that was a story. But it can be deceiving because there were parts for me, I know that during the recording of it sounded great, but by the time the mastering was done, I wasn't thrilled with the drum sound. It was okay, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot to be patient and see what happens in the end in the final mix.
Well, drums have since kind of been pushed up front way more than they used to.
Yeah.
I mean, drums were kind of an afterthought back in the
they were
70s. I mean, except for stuff like maybe...
But they were still the heart of a lot of music.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I thought the drums on the second Black Sheep album, for example, were better recorded than mine.
Okay.
Or maybe he just played different. I don't know.
He definitely plays different. Everybody plays different.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I've always found that.
Sound,
You line up 10 drummers and tell them to go boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. It'll all sound different.
Right, yeah. It's got to have a different body English on it.
It's weird, I mean, you think it would be the same, but it's not.
I was reading the credits on the first album, and I noticed that Don and Ron, you both are credited with writing the music on 3 songs together on the first album there. And then Lou wrote the lyrics.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep, they let us write a few songs.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, too, for me at that time, I played very little guitar.
That was nice of him.
I could play, but I would get credit for having maybe the original idea on something.
Okay.
And then Donnie would write the hooks for the most part and stuff.
Or Bruce,
I'd have like an intro or something, and the more experienced guitar player would finish it off.
Okay.
Okay. On the ones that I got primary credit on, it was really more for having the original first idea rather than writing the whole thing.
It's not easy. I tried writing a song in the recent past. It's awful. I don't have the knack for it, so I give you guys a lot of credit because there's a lot of ideas. Got to go into it. Words, the chord changes. It's not as easy as Lennon McCartney make it out to be.
Well, Graham's one of those master songwriters who doesn't write many, but they're all awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and they're all old.
I can write complete songs now, and I do think it's easier when you're younger because you have so many things to talk about and get off your chest. I think, like for me, as I get older, I can write music now, but what am I going to talk about? I mean, it's not going to be, hey, babe.
Yeah, the boy-girl love stories.
Yeah.
No, it goes back. I mean, a very brief story, but you reminded me, it's great to have lifelong friends, but I would get together a few months ago with some friends I've known since I've been a kid, basically. And we used to talk about, we used to talk about when we were younger, our adventures, all right? So this time we get together, go around the table. Well, my cholesterol's bad. I just went on meds.
Yeah, right.
I had stents.
Yeah.
I just got new hearing aids. One's got diabetes.
Yeah.
We
It's
used-
true.
We used to talk about gear, and now we talk about ailments.
Yeah.
Doctor's
That's
appointment.
very true.
Yeah, didn't Don, you played on Greg's, didn't you, on this song?
I did.
Yeah,
we were
Donnie-
just talking about
He looks
that.
for the best. He goes for only A1.
No, that was a good time.
What was the
recording
story
this song.
behind that? How did that happen?
Well, Don Anonymous from Susie's band there, Cupid's Boomerang.
He's not anonymous. He's right on our show. This is Don Mancuso.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Donnie got a hold of Donnie. So he said, I got Don Mancuso to do the recording. And I was like, really? And I was really impressed and surprised and happy because I
How
knew
could you be surprised in
Well, because I guess I didn't know that he knew you that well. And I guess maybe just not confident in my own right that you would even want to do it. And I was very happy that you did it because I knew you'd nail it.
I mean, I always have to hear the song first to see if I
Right.
can make it sound better. There's some I got to say no because it's like,
And-
no,
and
there's
as far
nothing
as-
I can do.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like the origin of that song, like I said, it is an older song that I did, but
What's the name of it, too?
blame it on rock and roll.
Blame it on rock and roll.
But it's all about my idea for it was just simple. It was like I remembered how it was for me when I was standing in front of a band, all excited, kind of thinking, okay, 13-year-old kid, denim jacket, screaming and yelling, fist pumping and jumping around like a lunatic. And then kind of as you get older, you start thinking of the parental side of it. And then that's my kid's a mess because of this music, And so one verse is about the parents, one verse is about you watching the band, and the third verse is about the guy that can't get enough, and after the gig's over, he's roaming around looking for more partying. So the whole idea is just, you can blame rock and roll for all these things.
You
So
should
that
do a
was good.
sequel based on a story I told where about rock and roll when you're trying to look cool but you really can't. Where the time my friends and I went to go see a show at the Penny Arcade, and we're wearing our Black Sabbath shirts and everything. They're we're bad. Then hey, there's my mom picking us up. There's the car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I think may have all been there. I mean, my first concert, I may have mentioned this before, was the Beach Boys in '64, where, of course, we're 11 years old, and you could do that back then. Drop your kids off at the concert. At least they did that with us. Maybe they were hoping we wouldn't come home. I don't know. I don't know. But 11 years old, they dropped us off at the Auditorium Theater for the Beach Boys. I mean, you could do that back then.
have a nice night, honey. Don't get stabbed.
That's right.
For me, believe it or not, it was Three Dog Night.
Was it?
I could not believe that band.
That was an incredible show. It
And
was
I
there.
actually wrote to Floyd Steed. Sometimes I do stupid things, but
Sadly, he just passed.
I wrote to him
Floyd, yeah.
a few years ago, and I said, Floyd, I'm not just a basement musician. I've had a little bit of luck as I have Capitol Records, and I want you to know how much you influenced my drumming life.
Yeah.
And I got a letter back from this lady who said, Floyd doesn't have a computer right now, but he read your letter and thanks you very much for contacting him.
Yeah.
Which
He had
was
a great
pretty
style.
cool.
I was just going to say that. He had a very unique style.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an African style rhythm to his
Rock
playing.
and
And which was very new and different
Yes.
for top 40 radio back then.
Chuck Negron, wow, rock and
The
roll.
whole
life.
band was just phenomenal. And Chuck
No,
had,
but I mean in terms of what is Excess, he's another example.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck had the second best mustache, only to Ron Rocco.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you for knowing.
Yeah,
Sorry, the
Ron had the best mustache.
Since we're going around the table, Dad, what was your first concert?
Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Ah, it's a good
Wow.
one.
First show.
Well,
in
how
the
are you
States.
here, though? The show never ends.
Yeah, no, they weren't doing that song. This was the first album. So.
That's the first song I ever heard from them.
Oh,
That's
that
why it
edge
sticks in
and
my
all
head
that.
all the
That
time.
stuff was great.
That's why I tried to play pictures at an exhibition. Not very well.
I think mine was maybe Iron Butterfly and Blues Image there.
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, that was
I
the
don't
later
wanna
one for
say
me. I
mine,
saw
though
that
it was
same
up
show.
with
That was a
people.
good show.
Oh, God.
I got
remember
better.
that. I
got
remember that.
better.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Let's separate the men from the old men.
Yeah.
Who remembers the showcase?
I do.
The showcase, I do.
I don't.
Okay, I went one night at 15 years. I was 15 years old. I went to the brass rail to see the Seven from Syracuse.
Right.
Oh, the Seven. I was there that night.
Phenomenal band.
Yep.
I couldn't wait to see them.
Yeah.
But they got snowed out, and the showcase played, but they couldn't find the drummer. Johnny Houlihan.
Oh, John Houlihan,
who
sure.
was is an incredible drummer.
Yeah.
And his mom was the manager, and
Yes, she was.
And we said, "Is there any drummers out there?" And I'm sitting there waiting, looking around to see if there's any drummers. I was 15, and
Wow.
and Pat Searchfield, one of the lead singers, looks down. I'm in the third row, and he points. He goes, "He can do it." And I go, and I look around again, like, who's he talking about? You know, I ended up playing the whole show, and I came home and put $75 on my father's table. He's sitting there smoking a cigarette. I go, "Here."
See, Dad, I made money.
And he couldn't believe it.
It's actually
That was a big
profitable.
turning point. The bug was created. I mean,
I hear that.
I was poisoned with rock and roll.
No, I think that's what happens. I think there's something different about anybody who plays and keeps playing. Is there is like a bug you catch where
that was it.
part of your life where you start doing it and you can't.
Knowing Pat Searchfield, he was quite a comedian, too. I
He's
hadn't
funny.
seen him in years.
I thought you were too young for that.
And I ran into him.
I wasn't friends with him.
I ran into him in one of the bars, and I said, "Pat, you don't know me, but I know who you are." I said, "I used to come and see the band, the showcase all the time." I go, "I really enjoyed, the band and your performance with the band." And I said, "Where you been? I haven't seen you in years, And he says, "Yeah, I moved away, blah, 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 this and that." He goes, "But I had to come back for
out searching for his field.
Is he still here now?
No, sadly, he passed. Yeah. So he says, "I had to come back for some major surgery." I go over, and he's like deadpan straight, straight face. And he said, "I had to come back for some major surgery." I go, "Geez." I go, "I hope everything went well." I go, "Did you make out okay?" I go, "What'd you have done?" He says, he goes, "Well, I had to have penis reduction." I looked at him and I went, "What?" Of course he was kidding. But,
It was a short subject.
But
for you.
But that was Pat Searchfield.
One thing I like to ask on this show, because we've retired the fish hook story for a long time now. So if you want to
hear that again?
No, we're done with that. Anybody has to ask you on air. But I just want to ask, like, for some of your gigs, what were some funnier or crazier things that happened when you were playing out at some gigs?
Like,
and you just
stools falling
Black Sheep,
over or anything like that, or guitars
or
falling
just
off.
the audience was crazy, or
There was
something.
not that much funny in Black Sheep. It was a pretty serious band.
No, but like
wouldn't
this,
you say?
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
More
With
more
your
like
bands,
this,
maybe.
We had some fun,
But
but
we had some stupid stuff.
I'll recap it real
stupid
quick.
stuff.
I was playing and a fish hook
You don't
got
okay
caught
for
on
the
my
last
shirt.
time for the review.
So I was playing and some guy was yanking up. He was walking with a fishing pole and it caught my shirt. So as I was playing, he's yanking on. So I was looking like I was spazzing out. So any of those kind of stories, like PAs blowing up, or amps blowing up,
like that, or you went to the wrong venue.
Yeah, stuff like that. Any weird
Johnny,
stuff?
you don't remember this story. I think this was before you were in the band. We rehearsed it. I was debating whether I was going to tell this, but here goes. I think it was before Don was in the band. We were practicing at my house. Did you do any practicing at my house?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might remember this.
73 or 72.
We're rehearsing, and all of a sudden Lou
There was a
AWOL.
70s?
Yeah.
Lou was nowhere to be found. We're rehearsing the song. We yell over, "Hey, Lou." And he goes, "I'll be out in a minute." And we used to see this band in Buffalo. I shouldn't have said Buffalo. And the singer was quite heavy and always had his or her hand in the pocket of the jeans.
Yeah.
Lou comes out. My mother had received a washer, clothes washing machine. Lou comes out with the box wrapped around him like it's his body. He had a pocket drawn, and he cut a slit in the pocket to put his hand in, and he had a microphone. I mean...
So he's making fun of this guy.
Right,
Yeah.
with a box around. And I just, for the people that know the real reserved Lou Gramm, I just wanted to pass that along.
Well, creativity knows
You
no
remember that?
bounds,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
was there for
Thank
that.
God Don remembers it. I
When I
back
first met him, I thought he was weird.
That's really funny.
You didn't know him that well.
No, not at that point. I mean, I had seen him play, and I didn't meet him until Bruce brought me over for the
I thought he
audition.
was weird.
And I did the audition for the audition. You guys were like, no, you're good enough.
How did they get you? How did they find you?
I was playing on the back of a flatbed in a school yard,
Courtyard.
and it was
Was
and
it tennis courts?
no, it was in Greece, but it was a school that was surrounded by houses. I can't remember the name. It was a grammar school, and they had just been out.
Sounds
on
like
the road.
Arcadia, but it's in a grammar school.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Arcadia.
No.
It was a smaller
I could
school
picture it
right in
my head,
Greece,
sort of.
closer to the mall area.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the backwoods there, and Bruce was sleeping. He had just come back into town from playing with these guys, and he was sleeping on his girlfriend's couch, and I woke him up. I was playing so freaking loud. It was my first experience with a Marshall 5810 cabinet.
Yeah.
I had it dying. You could probably hear it for about half a mile just of that one area. So I got lucky. I woke him up. He came over, asked me if I wanted to audition, and I said, Black Sheep? That's the guy with the drummer? Well, no, he's not drumming anymore. We got a new drummer. I go, okay, I'll try it. Yeah, what the heck?
And that's how it started.
Yeah.
So I read in Lou's book that one of the reviews of the albums. No, it said something about you really adopting a style like Mick Ralph's. So was that an influence for you?
It was Paul Kossoff,
Or Paul Kossoff.
and we were both like put on the chopping block. First album that came out, they reviewed it as a poor imitation of Paul Rogers and an okay version of Paul Kossoff. And there was like me and Lou looked at it and we went, well, I guess any press is good press, right?
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
In the Rolling Stone, it's like the Bible.
I remember two articles. One was so complimentary.
Oh, right.
Maybe I should give up
You want to
now.
just quit music.
I don't want to be anybody,
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I meant. Was it what you expected, or and it's got to be weird. It's got to be about the pressure begins, and all that kind of stuff. I've never got that far, so I admire you guys a lot for even getting that far.
Well, Neil Peart said it too. He just said he doesn't read reviews because if I read the good ones, I have to read the bad ones.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Reviews can really make you, hey, Mom, look at this, or hey, friend, look at this. And then you see a month later, it could be very political, like with Black Sheep. There was one, I can't verify it right now, but it was such a good review, comparing us to some of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah.
I'll just say that much. And I was blown away by it. But then one was in Rolling Stone and one was in Billboard. The next one was somebody ought to put these Black Sheep out to pasture.
Yeah.
It's very
Well, that's
hurtful.
how we got the name Black Sheep, from what I heard. I wasn't in the band, but like things like that happened where the owner told him, "Yeah, you're not going to play her anymore."
Yeah,
that used to happen more and more, and
Okay.
we only had like maybe 2 or 3 niche places that we could play. McMahon's, what was the one, the Diplomat, or one of the clubs in Rochester. It wasn't the Brass Rail.
Brass
They wouldn't
Rail?
have us. No, I don't think
they wouldn't? Oh, really?
No.
I was going to ask about this. That was like you read my mind again about where you played, like how those.
Yeah. There was a team club that we all went to back then, the Brass Rail. That was over on Dewey, right near
Love
Ridge.
that. Love that place.
That was a fun place.
It was.
Yes, I missed that one, the Orange Monkey.
Yeah.
I got the crap beat out of me by a girl there once.
Oh, boy.
She was like 4'11". What am I supposed to do?
I would think, though, too. You mean you know?
Thank you.
You can't play.
You know
I don't owe you any money.
I recently had one come after me a couple years ago, and luckily she grew up with 4 brothers. And, boy, this one here, I really wouldn't want to tangle with her. But she came after me and took a couple of swings. Luckily, she missed. I was putting on my leather jacket, and I diffused the punches, but I yelled over. It was at Smoking Joe's. I told Joe, I said, "Get this drunken biatch out of here." I get hurt.
You hear everything on the carnival from those 2 blacks, us getting beaten up by women. But I think too. I think my view too.
Anything for art.
I mean, if you know you put your best effort into your music, you have a little bit of shield from that from reviews. You know you did your best, and if people like it, who cares?
Well, it's true. If you're making money and you're enjoying what you're
doing.
doing.
But I would also say, and we all have our different tastes, too. And I would think maybe like some of the magazines, they have more of like a snobby appeal. It's like the saying David Lee Roth said about critics that they liked Elvis Costello better than Van Halen because all of them look like Elvis Costello.
Before we go any further, let me jump in here and congratulate Ron and Don on their nomination of going into the Rochester Music Hall of Fame.
Yes,
It's quite an accomplishment, so congratulations, guys.
Big
A little round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, yeah. How does that feel? I mean,
Hey, can I get a free
obviously,
ticket? No.
The only trophy I ever won, I think, was a model car contest I won.
I won a bowling trophy.
Did you? See?
Yeah.
I've gotten those too. And they're still great.
They're awesome. Good old terrace garden.
So that's got to be a great feeling. How, when you first found out, what was your reaction to being nominated?
It's the best game he bowled. No, you mean the... Oh, you...
Not you.
It was a league game.
That was great.
I was humbled and honored and thought, you know, there's a lot of people that are very deserving of getting in there. You know, I know I've worked hard, and we've done some different things that most people haven't done.
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah.
It is. I mean, I was humbled.
You're gonna have a crazy crowd in that place when that gets.
Yeah, you guys. I know the place is gonna be full. The Eastman Theater will be full.
Ron, what were you gonna say about it?
I was just gonna say, for me, it's a little different. Humbled like Don, but I didn't know I was gonna be included because I have not been in the band for many years.
Man, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you were a big piece of the pie.
I'm very thrilled that everybody feels that way because I didn't know how people felt, you know.
No, man. I'm really happy. I'm really honored to finally have gotten to know you over the last several years, and I look up to you, honestly.
I've learned something, too, over the last few years, that sometimes what we think of ourselves, it's amazing the difference between what we think of ourselves and what people who know us think of us. You might think a lot less than a lot. You'll find out people think, wow. Greg, I think you have that attitude sometime.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm like, well, thanks. I like to think I'm good, but you know, when people say, "Oh, man," they make a fuss over you.
I think sometimes
you're kind of like, wow.
The idea that you play like in 100 bands and they have islands you own might get to some people, but you're very humble.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to do it, and I do it because I like music, and I do it because that's kind of what I've always played drums, and I started going to school for it, and I took it a little more seriously than just getting out of the house on the weekend.
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but I saw that about like people in my life when I had my health problems.
Yeah,
that's when
I think most of us are a little bit humbled. I mean, I feel the same way, Greg. You know, you get compliments. You come off the stage maybe after one of your maybe worst performances of you just say, man, I played lousy tonight.
Yeah, to you.
And people pat you on the back and hey, it's humbling, and I think we're our own worst enemy sometimes, our own worst critic, I should say.
Right. I mean, if you're getting across to people, that's 90% of it.
But you ever have these clowns like the drunks or the idiots who you get the one guy going, "You suck."
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had that.
Ron's got his hand up.
the kid in the back.
Actually, I hate to be singling Lou out so much, but Lou Gramm taught me this, and it worked. This guy, I was playing his biker joint, and I played my drum solo, and all these people were clapping. The whole place pretty much was clapping for it. And there's one kid stood in the middle of the dance floor and went like this to me.
Really?
Thumb down?
No kidding.
Wow. And I said,
okay.
I can't tell the whole story because I got to say a bad word.
But you could say, this is a podcast. If you could want to say the bad word,
can you
tweak it a little bit.
Tweak it a little bit.
Yeah, all right, I'll tweak it a little. Here we go. I go, ladies and gentlemen, we got a special guest in here tonight. Because Lou had taught me to have the guy come up and play.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, we got a special guest here tonight. And he's a drummer friend of mine is going to come up and play for us. I go, and he's going to show you what he's got. So give him a warm welcome. I go, come on up and play a tune, you puck.
was he
How was that for ad-lib?
Was he a drummer?
And you know what? He took 2 steps towards the stage, and his buddy was with him, and they turned around and left. And I did say thanks Lou, for that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Call him out. Call him out.
Call him out.
Yeah,
Most of them can't play.
Or you got to run away. After you left the band, we did a show at the What?
That was kind of you, Don. I didn't leave the band.
Well,
okay?
Yes, you
and
did.
I do
You
have some
weren't
advice
playing
for,
with the band anymore.
I do have advice for all you drummers. Come close to the speakers, everybody. You drummers out there that want to make it big, I've got the best piece of advice that you will ever hear. No matter how good you think you are, don't fight with the singer.
Yeah, right.
You're going to lose.
Well, no, not if you're Mick Jagger and Charlie Watts. Charlie Watts knocked Mick Jagger out.
Yeah,
Probably good advice, though.
It is. Well, I don't want you should never fight with anybody in the band. It could be the freaking bass player, and you're going to lose your gig.
But as you were saying, Don, carry on with your story.
Yeah, so we did a gig at the New York Academy of Music, right? Big, exciting gig. We're all like, we're Peter Frampton fans, like fanatics, and he's the headliner. So we're like, okay, we made it. We can die now, right? And we got this drummer that's come right off a farm and hasn't played in, months or years or whatever. And he's getting back into it. We write a few songs. We put them together for the record. And we go to do this gig, and it turns out that the opening act that was canceled and we were plugged in last minute was a band called Montrose.
Oh, wow.
Who turned out to be the main draw of that show because Frampton hadn't had the big one yet.
Okay.
So guess what happened when Black Sheep came out? We got booed off the stage. I mean, that was when you could throw shit at people. They had shit thrown at us. And then in the middle of the third song, right? So we got this new drummer. It's his first gig back in front of 8,000 people, right? Would you be nervous? I mean, I was.
Yeah.
And these people are booing us and throwing shit. All of a sudden, the keyboard and the guitar power go down. It's like someone hit a switch. New York Academy of Music, opening up for Frampton.
Is that where the foot pedal broke?
No.
I was at that show.
No.
Well, this qualifies.
No, this
was
was with Mike Bonfidi.
Yeah, I went to see it.
Were you there?
I was at something in New York, and I heard a pedal broke, but.
And we got booed off the freaking. It was like the best experience after got over the shock of I'm quitting music. I'm never doing it again. I'm never going to step on a stage if people hate me that much. And then when the guy told me, he goes, "It's not your fault. Montrose just had a hit on the radio.
Right.
They're on their own tour. They're taking all the people they're kind of screwing these people over that came to see them."
Yeah.
Did you have to do the flee from the stage?
No, it wasn't that bad. It was just a bunch of shit thrown.
You had to warm them
up. They turned the power off on you?
Just on me and Rose. So it was Mike. It was Mike, the new drummer for the farmer, and Bruce Turgan, the bass player, and Lou trying to get through another 2 or 3 songs, and people are throwing stuff and booing. Me and Rose are standing at the side of the stage going, "What do you think? Is this the end?"
Wow.
That's a rough one.
They always said if that happens, it's best to be the drummer, though, because you could put your cymbal up to deflect the cabbage.
Yeah, you're sitting behind something too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've had to play when power goes off, and then I just start playing something stupid on my own. Just like do a solo. It's like, but gotta do something,
Yeah.
By Nancy Sinatra.
Anything.
Something stupid by Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah.
And I'm always mixed on my views of Hall of Fames. I think people that should be in, they know. But the thing is, I think overall, we're all human beings. We love to know that we're appreciated.
Yeah,
that people, and it's one of those things like that. It's like that. It's a Wonderful Life ending, kind of.
I appreciate you, Rob.
Thank you. There is one thing I do want to mention. I think one of the main reasons I think it's good that Black Sheep made it is they were the first band ever to be signed to Chrysalis Records. From what I've actually researched that a bit too, and I've heard it on some other interviews as well. Yeah. That would be Jethro Tull's label.
Right.
10 years after Procol Harum.
Hard, I think.
I'm not sure about Hard.
No.
But
I don't like that you don't.
I just think sometimes when a local band makes history, that it's good to have them in a Hall of Fame sort of situation.
Oh yeah.
Were they a smaller label, or they were fairly big? They had
they were
big. They
were English label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Procol Harum,
I'm trying
Robin
to remember.
Trower.
Yeah, right.
Who else was on? There was a couple of the big bands.
Well, it was a different business back then. I mean,
Yeah,
I think people
definitely.
don't really understand now. I mean, now it's all over, Hollywood and everything. Everybody's got a hold of music's a whole different thing. Superstar stuff and, Queen Latifah and you got this and that and all these. But back then, man, we were in the trenches. I mean, it was different.
Yeah.
You always have to remember, I could tell how you guys seem to elevate people that, like Donnie and me. A lot of it's just plain karma.
Right.
Okay? A lot of it's
just
being in the
saying
right
that.
place at the right time.
Well,
Sure.
That's perfect.
That's the business,
exactly
yeah.
it.
I've always said to everybody, the only difference between a local player and a national player is a lucky break.
Oh, very true, yeah. But
Quite often that's the case.
You know.
Because you went to school for music. I mean, I studied with some players around Rochester, but you probably know more about drumming than I do. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So always remember that if you feel in your heart that you're as good as the next guy or better, you probably are.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Yeah. Well, it's good. That's
Everybody
good for
has
anybody
a style.
to think about.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Well, no,
Ron.
I've had my share of good things. I got to travel. I went to Europe with a couple. I found breaks here and there, and everything along the way, teaches you stuff. But you got to kind of keep looking. You can't just go, why doesn't it happen to me? You gotta go out there and just keep at it, and then things start lining up, and you meet people, and things start to happen.
That's true.
And then you just wait for the wheel to come around to your spot, and you go, all right.
That's the
But
other
it's
when
a
I
long
was
road.
looking at Black Sheep, I was leaving one band and thinking about Black Sheep. You have to, before you join a band, you have to check some boxes. Like even this most recent band that I just joined, they checked a lot of boxes that were important to me. Okay,
Right.
Own PA sound man. I longed for those days. I was sound, and they had all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Certain things like that.
Okay.
And with Black Sheep, it was pretty easy because the three main boxes for me were they had a truck back then. They had their own truck.
Right.
They had a great lead singer who wanted to go out front, and they had a manager that was with a record company.
Right.
Those are some major boxes. So for me, it wasn't totally being at the right place. There was a little thought put into what band I joined.
Right.
You always got things.
So I give myself a little bit of credit for that.
Yeah, you got to have some kind of parameters.
But in
Yeah.
most cases, like look at the gentleman. Wasn't it Tony Gross, our friend Tony Gross,
Yeah.
who got discovered backstage of a concert somewhere? And
Yeah.
Head East, I
For
think
Head
it was.
East.
And he got into the band, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
toured with them.
Yeah, so I mean,
I think he did one
that
album
would be a
with them.
case of
Yeah.
having the talent, but also being at the right place.
Right place at the right time.
Well,
So now you got two ways to look at it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
another question I had, though. Do you feel, I mean, I know this is probably just the way things are, but you got to admit, because you had the two albums and the exposure, and that is it's a spring pad, and it's something that, it's kind of like a band that has a hit, and then they can tour forever. So, you know what I mean? It's like,
I know what you're
it
asking.
helps you. It helps you with credibility and with
Yes.
Billy
and other
Sheehan, Billy
things.
Sheehan's an
Everything you
excellent
do like
example
that.
of that, and so is Donnie.
Yeah.
I'm not. I have too much fun. I do, man. I gotta tell you.
I still have fun.
I don't drink alcohol at home. You get me near a set of drums and just,
That's your drug of choice.
Right. Yeah.
Drums just excite me so much that, I mean, I'm surprised I don't spontaneously sleep combust. Donnie, I've noticed, got involved with a lot of the local scene.
Right.
And I don't want to say taking advantage of. I mean, yeah, taking advantage of the breaks he's
Well, if
had.
you got a name, you got a name. I mean, that's just the way it
And
is.
for me, I don't.
And I had 3 solo albums.
See?
Yeah.
And for me, I don't really do too much of that, but it has helped me in
Right.
certain ways. Like I'm at this interview on it.
Yeah.
You know, I
Oh,
got
yeah, this is definitely the apex.
And the whole thing, but I am benefiting. Yeah, you do benefit from it,
Right.
no question. But some people benefit from it more. Billy
Yeah.
Sheehan was great at
Right.
studying the business, and every move counted with him. And that's what, besides his phenomenal talent,
Yeah, he had a
Yes.
good manager.
where it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And that's
Not
an
a good
important thing,
manager.
too. I think people forget about that part of it. You got to have somebody that understands what to do with your abilities.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't you can't do it all.
No.
I mean, it's hard to
you don't
manage
fit into
yourself.
every
and-
niche.
Yeah. It's tough.
Speaking of the right place at the right time, this show came together totally by accident. It's not that we didn't want you guys. Here's how it all came together. So I get a phone call a couple weeks ago. I did a show. I tried to do maybe one show a month, and so I did my show. And the following week, Greg was going to be off. And here's how this all came together. So I said to Rob, well, listen, is it okay if I fill in for Greg? And Rob said, sure, why not?
Some people say I'm really off.
So I said, well, who's our guest next week? He said, well, we don't have one. I go, well, we'll come up with something, right? Yeah. So Rob and I part ways. I go home, he goes home. And ironically, within 24 hours, I get a phone call from John Dretto. Okay, everybody knows John. He's involved with the Rochester Music Hall of Fame and some promotions with some other bands. So John says to me, he says, hey, Stevie, he says, and John was on the show before as well with he promoted the Dogs, DAWGS, which is a local fundraising band here in town. So John says to me, he says, hey, is there any chance you can get Don on the show? I says, well, yeah. I says, I'll tell you what, a bit of luck right here. I says, I'm going to be on next week. We don't have a guest. And I said, I'd love to have Don on the show. He says, well, great. So that's how it all came together. But I also said to John, I says, if we get Donnie, I says, I'd really like to have Ron if it's possible. If Ron is available, I says, I said, I know Ron fairly well. I says, I look up to Ron. We're gonna build up his esteem here. And I says, I'd like to have Ron on too. This way, we got a couple guys from the band, that they can feed off of one another. And I says, I'd like to have, obviously, both of the guys on. So that's how it all came together. And here we are today.
Yeah, and we had, on the 15th, this was our first show. It was just too good. I had to save it for a greatest hits compilation. So we didn't put that one out. So we're doing this one again.
Yeah, this is part 2, by the way. Yeah, this is take 2. Yeah. Because we had a little hiccup.
Yeah, we'll save that, but I just had to think about that. Like, people will ask me, is Greg off this week? He's off every week. So am I. But there's something I was thinking about in terms of, like, working in music. Now, say I'm a bricklayer. I become, like, a master bricklayer. I get my reputation around town. I'm hired. People want me to do their work. You could be the best musician, and you might, it's like, who's that? Because of the way of the business. And I used to do for my films, I did a little bit in the film business here with my friend Beth, who's been on the show. But we brought a guy in from Atlanta for a fundraiser, and the guy was great, but you never heard of him. And I'm just saying, there are people all around the country you never hear of.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So that's always like, it's like one of those businesses, you have to have a thick skin, and you have to hope and know. And try to plan, though, try to make a plan.
Yeah. Usually you have a backup plan. Yeah. If you don't really, I've gotten to points in my career where I just couldn't stand playing with certain people in bands, and it was like, going to get a day gig for a while and do it for fun.
By the way, that brings up something that just popped into my head, Don. You worked at Kodak for a while?
Yeah, when my kids were in diapers, I didn't want my wife to go out and get a job and pay more than she makes for childcare. Right. So I said, you stay home. I'll go to Kodak. I had a job, nice little technician job there, and I was in 5 bands at night and on the weekends.
Wow. So you were in roll coding, if I'm not mistaken, or
no? It was film, motion picture film, and graphic arts. Okay. I started over in paper 15 years.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good job.
I think I followed.
It was a great job. I mean, I supported a family of 5 people for it was like 10 years.
You were there 10 years. I think I followed you into that department because your name kept popping up.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Were you in Memo or?
I was actually down with the caskets, taking the film out of the caskets.
Oh yeah.
In the dark room. I hated it.
I wasn't too fond of that. That or some of the chemicals.
Yeah.
I did notching and rounding. My dad was like with film develop, I think, but he did the one famous thing was he shut off the computer room. And what he did after that was he wrote in the suggestion box, put a thing, don't shut the computer room off.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that machine They were coding motion picture films.
Right.
It was like
coding, sure.
Oh my god!
But he was hilarious.
Coding,
what he
drying.
would do, we would go like to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. He'd point out, okay, there's a scruff on the film. There's a scruff on the film.
Yeah, you would see. I was in charge of a system of ultrasonic and digital bubble detection, so that when the fluids would come out of the hopper, there can't be any air because one microscopic spot would look like someone's head on the film in a picture. So.
Wow.
Do you remember working with this black fella that doubled as a mortician on the weekends? He had a funeral parlor or something. Remember that guy?
Oh my God.
No. What building was he in? I was only 59. In like 59.
People were dying to see him. I'm sorry.
That was overdue.
That's a little.
That was overdue. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I made a little bit of a career out of my Kodak days and retired from there, thankfully.
So we go from different album colors to Black Sheep to Kodak.
I was at Ingram Micro for 31 years.
But they gave me
putting IT equipment on Navy ships, submarine, and the government division. Good job, great job, great company.
Okay.
Right in Buffalo.
And they were out of the Buffalo area?
Well, a lot of people don't realize this because they released only 25% of the company when Bronson Ingram died. They're in Portugal, they're in Spain, they're in Italy, they're everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. Great company.
So are we, let's flash forward. So what's everybody doing now? What are you guys up to now? Don, what are you up to now?
I jam with Greg Andrews on occasion doing country music. I jam with Ronnie doing cheater music.
We did the last one.
The last one. No, it will be. I think Jeff's pretty much over it now. It was fun, though. It was a good gig. We had good couple of gigs, Rochester and Buffalo. And I actually got to do a Johnny Smoke 30-year anniversary show over at the Lovin' Cup a couple of weeks ago. It was outstanding. Doing all originals. I mean, the feeling of doing all your own, like what we did with Cheater, and actually there was a Black Sheep one even before that. So it's like 4 I've done this year. It's been
That's very gratifying.
I can die now.
Yeah, right.
Hey, no,
but don't do it.
I don't want to, but if I do, I got some good stuff on the original.
You were on the Carnival too.
That's right. Another claim to fame.
And Mr. Rocco, what are you up to these days?
I just joined a band in Buffalo called Silver Extreme. Excellent female vocalist, and the musicians are really, really good, real solid. They have a lot of good things going for them. And I was involved in Rochester with a Tom Petty project with Eric Ferrari, and I think Steve's going to be taking that over for me.
We'll see. We're working on that. Big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill right here, kid.
The Silver Extreme only plays Saturdays for reasons unknown. I think it's something to do with employment. So I'm looking for something to do my Fridays with. If anybody wants a fill-in drummer or something like that, I'm going to be able to freelance on Fridays.
You've been in Buffalo quite a while, right? I mean, you live there or no?
Well, I live in Lockport.
Oh, okay.
Which is, north of Buffalo.
Yeah.
But near Niagara Falls, between Niagara Falls and Buffalo. There was a girl there that was well worth the trip.
Right.
Naming my wife Joan. She lets me stay there. Let's put it that way.
But do you think? Yeah, she puts up with you. What do you think it's a better scene? Because I've always argued with people it seems like a healthier scene over there, a little more blue collar, a little more fun.
I would say up until recently, yes, seemed to be more places to play than here.
Yeah.
But lately, it's gotten really rough again.
Is it?
As far as there's a new movement on now. There's young bands coming in playing for really low money.
There you go. Yeah,
that's not a new movement.
I was playing for this one guy, and I go, "Hey, dude, I've been drumming for an hour and a half. When are we going to take a break?" He goes, "Oh, you need a break?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I don't need a break. I want a break."
Right.
They're not taking breaks. They're killing the bands that have worked for years to build up their pay and their money and what they're worth. So I'm like laying back. That's one of the reasons I joined a band that's been together for 25 years, Silver Extreme, because they are solid in their bookings and they get yearly returns. And I I feel more secure in that band.
So they've been together that long? 25 years, you said?
I don't know for sure. It's somewhere between 15 and 25 years.
Okay. It's a long time.
One thing I do want to interject, and I want to talk about this covers versus originals. Thoughts on playing covers versus originals?
And it's an original band?
Covers versus originals. Like, how do you approach it? How do you feel about it?
Extreme? This Silver Extreme is what?
Sort of a mix.
It's a cover band.
It's a cover band. Okay.
And people put down covers a lot.
I know.
But I'm telling you, it's like what is a musician supposed to do if he's not currently signed, not working to be being signed, or not with a bunch of people that are writing music? What you need to do is keep yourself moving so that you, with a drummer, you lose your muscle tension, you lose everything.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So cover music comes in very handy for me at my age
agree.
because you get to stay sharp, not just playing. I need to unload my truck and load it to stay in shape.
That's right.
I hear you.
Because what's going to happen if I sit home for a year and don't play and wait for a recording project and get flabby and flabby, there's a lot of F's
You
in
need
there.
to keep your stamina up. I totally agree.
Flabby,
Yeah.
You really do, especially as you get older. So I think there's a time and place for everything. I don't like combining them. Some people do. If I was to do originals, it would be an all-original project. And if on my covers, not everybody's like that, Donnie.
Yeah, it's tough to do, man. I've been doing both for the last 10 or 20 years.
The thing I like about, what I was saying before was like, I like to do covers as long as it's in the style that you like to play.
Right.
But what I like is let's say you're doing a classic rock thing. So you got to learn all these different styles because all these songs have different things. You know, each drummer has a different thing and signature things, and a Deep Purple thing is different than a Heart thing. So you got, you're learning all this stuff, and you're learning. Wow, you pick up these little tricks, and then you can do it. Add it to your other music.
No, doing cover stuff is great for you. I mean, it's done the same thing for me as he's saying. I mean, I never had chops.
Right.
I'm not like Steve Vai or Al Di Meola, blah blah. That type of guitar player. I'm more blues and based, and so I can tend to get lazy. But then going out and join like a Billy Joel tribute or a Led Zeppelin tribute and learn that whole catalog and you're like,
Wow.
oh my God, I got 40 to 50 hours into this, and I'm learning all this stuff I could never do before, or never thought about.
And expands
it is good.
Yeah.
Really.
I always just try, my big thing in trying to promote local music is we have our taste. I always say, you know what you like? Try what you haven't heard. You might like it. And I've always told the story about friends who are like, Rob, come on, there's an Eagles cover band playing. And I go, well, I'd be glad to. Why don't you come see, I'll just pick a friend's band, the Mighty High and Dry. Well, what are they like? I just said, well, you'll like them. Nah, because they just want to hear what they want to hear.
Yeah,
and I try to promote that. And I just say, what's it going to hurt you? It's an hour of your life. You might really enjoy it. Talk to musicians. There's a lot of really good bands, and there's room for both of them, covers and originals.
And it's new music to you.
Yeah.
It might be old stuff, but it's new music.
Yeah. Which I love. See, that's something I love about music still. I will go back to the 70s, 60s. I will find stuff I just slip through the cracks.
Yep.
It never ends. And
new
as long
music.
as you have different styles, then
right.
I'll go, man, I'm into reggae now. Let's go this way. I'm into this now.
You'll never run out of options.
I don't think I'm into death metal anymore. I don't think but not for me.
Stuff gets rediscovered and it becomes new again, I guess.
Yeah.
I think something's got to take place, though, before this turns around. Bands, everybody's going to hate me for this. Musicians are going to hate me. Here it comes. Bands need to learn how to play for the door. But before that can happen, club owners need to stop giving away their entertainment. Entertainment is a commodity.
Right.
Booze, alcohol, that's a commodity.
Right.
You wouldn't give away your alcohol. Why are you giving away your entertainment? It's a commodity, just like alcohol. So, at least a $5 cover, something, so the bands...
God, $5 was the 80s.
Like my friend Rob from the 80s hair band in Buffalo, his band will always say to the club owner, you don't want to pay us this much? We'll play for the door.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know why? Because he knows he'll draw the people. Okay. If he doesn't get them that night, he'll get them the next time back. And then the club owner will be begging for him to pay him $1,200 or $1,500 or whatever it is. So what I'm saying is if clubs would get back into charging a cover, Yeah, it might hurt for a while. People might walk away, but you got to get that charge back so that your bands can play for the door.
Right.
If there's a cover charge, and bands can say, "Look, I know I can get 100 people out there." Then you're making the bands promote themselves.
They're doing it now.
You're making the bands promote themselves. You're making the bands put on a show. You're making the bands buy better lighting because it all comes into putting a product out that's going to draw. It's healthier for everybody. But until club owners put that cover charge back on the door, you're never going to see bands play for the door.
I also think, too, people are there for the music then, too. You know they are, which is more awesome than sitting there, people not paying attention. But my thing, I'm going to be hated, too. I'm for cover charges because I quit drinking years ago, and I come out, and I feel, I want to support the bar, the place, and I don't drink. What am I going to do?
Do most bands covers?
They're starting to charge cover charges now. It's
we've always charged
anywhere from $5 to $10 now for cover charges.
What really bothers me
on average
with that is that the people that complain about paying $5 or $10.
Yeah,
and all I keep saying to them is like, do you realize if you went to New York City or somewhere, you'd be paying $25 to get in, $10 a beer. Or whatever.
That's because we haven't charged covers for so long. All of the entertainment is, for the most part, has been free. All the local bands have been free at the bars.
And everybody's lowballing. Like you said, the younger bands come in. It's
not even just younger bands. After the pandemic, I mean, there were retirees that, I've always wanted to be a musician my whole life, and I was a dentist. I've got the money. I'm going. Go out, spend $5 or $10 grand,
to one of my
practice
friends.
And go. Right. Well, that's a good point. Never got
Plus, those cover bars they're free for me anyways because I buy the tickets online, so I go and everything.
Look at the Dinosaur was free for years. The Dinosaur had music 3 and 4 nights a week. It was always free. You walk in, if you want to have dinner or have a drink.
Place.
But the sadly, that's gone.
I think maybe for other reasons too after the pandemic.
Could somebody tell me what the Hall of Fame thing is like? What is it like? What's involved?
It's a big production, major production of video, audio, speakers. They do the whole thing. They have an agenda like a chart. They have a sheet and it goes down because they have 6 nominees? Did they say?
Are you guys playing?
I think so. I don't know. I haven't heard. It's up to Lou. I'm not the decision maker here, but
usually
they have an agenda where they go through a whole introduction, and then they go through each artist and give you a 10 or maybe 15, 20 minute background thing with pictures, video, audio.
They give you any award show you see on TV type of thing.
Only they can get into more detail.
But there is some live playing by.
Oh, there is. Yeah. They have a house band. Primetime Funk has been their house band.
I played with them a couple
if
times.
An artist is not able to perform per se, like several years ago, they had Lou Soloff from he was an Eastman grad, and he was inducted. Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
I played with him a couple times.
Okay,
so
sadly,
can make a horn talk.
Sadly, Lou has passed away. So what they did is they did a tribute to Lou. They brought in David Clayton Thomas, and Primetime Funk backed him and played some Blood, Sweat, and Tears tunes. Okay, so let's say, for instance, you guys decide, for whatever reason, you're not going to play. They possibly, and this is off the cuff, possibly would have some other players playing a couple of tunes by, what was the name of your band? Black Sheep. Greg knows the answer.
Okay, Don, let's
We're done here, right?
So that's a possibility. I don't know. I'm not involved in the whole show, or any of the show for that matter, except for maybe being a guest. But so that's a possibility.
Well, as it gets closer, they'll be in touch with you probably.
I hope you guys play.
I mean, you're one of the board of directors people, or
it's
whoever organizes.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for all of us to play, though. I can tell you that right now. Our keyboard player was almost killed in a car accident.
Recently?
No, it was 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, he got drunk driver smashed into him on Ames Street exit. He was off the road at 85.
Was that Larry or something?
Larry,
Wow.
No
Larry,
kidding.
and he had 3 brain injuries that they deemed terminal, and somehow he started reviving, and he's come back to an extent where he can walk. And
I didn't know that.
He can speak, but it's really tough for him to play.
Sorry to hear that.
For the last Black Sheep reunion, I worked with him for like a month, 2 times a week, going over 6 songs, and it was hard for him. He doesn't have the focus.
Andy, you might have some tunes to learn.
Yeah, no, Andy's going to be the man. He's going to have to learn some.
He's very flamboyant.
B3, if they do it, it's going to be B3 and piano stuff. So,
but that's how they put it together.
They can even use 2 keyboard players.
I went last year with Lou. I hate to say this, but I didn't expect to see too much or hear too much, and I walked away in awe. They put on a phenomenal show with the artists that were inducted last year.
I think I would enjoy. I mean, Primetime Fuck.
Good,
I'd love to see Primetime Fuck. I mean,
they're great. Yeah. They're the house band. Yeah.
You'll have a good time.
Yeah, I'd like to see them. I'd like to come in at Rochester and see them and whatever you're doing.
I got to do Smoke on the Water with the Royal Statesmen coming down the aisles, and then Primetime Funk and Costco and I go in to Smoke on the Water.
How cool
it was like people, and it wasn't in the agenda. It was a surprise that Bruce Pilato said, well, you want to be a part of it? It's either going to be a big thing or it's going to be the worst thing you ever done.
Plus, I love where it's held too. I love that building.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Eastman is it's
great.
Classy.
I was a fan of the opera.
Yeah,
if I was a fan of the opera, I would haunt that place.
They don't fool around.
Yeah, no, they don't fool around. This is a class production, no doubt, from start to finish.
Yeah, a lot of work goes in. If you could see what Tony Gross and Dreddo and all those people do to put this thing together, you'd go.
It's a lot of work.
I couldn't do that as a full-time job.
Yeah, they get all the kudos for doing a phenomenal job with the
John Dreddo does a lot. He does a lot of benefit stuff.
I've
helped him with a couple things.
It was him. I thought I was chatting with this dude. And I'm chatting back and forth with this guy who sent me a picture of Black Sheep.
Yeah.
And I go, cool picture, man. Thanks a lot.
Is that the newspaper clipping?
I think it was.
Yeah.
And I'm chatting back and forth with him. And I go, I didn't even think I would be part of this. And I thought it was just a dude.
Yeah.
And he goes,
he is a dude.
He goes, it took about 10 seconds to vote you in. And I says, how do you know that? Because I thought it was some pot smoking.
No, not John.
And he goes, I'm on the board. I go, oh, fuck. Good thing I didn't say.
Yeah, anything bad. Those guys are a bunch of dicks.
Well, let's not go there. But anyway, moving right along.
That's a funny story, though, and I didn't even know I was talking to a guy on the board.
No, that guy is like a guitar aficionado. He knows
and his son's
everything.
good, right?
Oh, yeah, his son's
John,
really
yes.
big.
Yeah.
John Dreddo Jr.
Just discovered that.
He's going to be playing with them for New Year's Eve. They're playing Music of the Stars at the Italian
American Club.
Yeah, $100. Yeah, each.
Not a couple.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they got a nice dinner and it's free liquor and the whole thing. It's and the show.
They got
you
poker
get to
in the
see
back.
A real show.
I used to joke about rubber balls and liquor, but anyways.
Yeah.
That's an old one. That's a real old one.
I actually had a shirt.
Really old is
But
right.
it was love to
I had
catch
a
somebody
shirt
when
that
you
was
were a
similar to
kid
that.
and get them to do it.
I did. I got to tell you this. So I had this shirt. I wish I still had it. But it was basically like a fan dancer, and her skirt was hiked up, so you saw her butt, right? And it said like a saloon dancer, Old West. And it said, last chance saloon, liquor up front, poker in the rear.
That's terrible.
That's a joke.
There you go. I wish I still had the damn shirt.
I know that.
I could get arrested and everything.
You could.
But I must say thank you both of you for being on. This has been very fun.
Yes, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, guys.
Does anybody have any New Year's resolutions you bother with it? Want to say anything about the New Year? I have one. Go get a garbage plate, because that shows that whatever you made 24 hours later, you're not going to keep.
That's right. Nothing lasts forever.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
All
So
right.
Nick's, visit Nick's on West Main Street, Nick Tahoe's, and grab yourself a garbage
and then
plate.
realize, everything I said, I knew I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
I just hope it's a good year for everyone. I always try to hope the best for
Me too.
people.
Better than
And,
last.
I think after what we've been through, especially the last 5 years of 2020,
Yeah.
can we have a little karma?
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yahoo!
And
Happy New Year.
What's coming up for everybody now? Obviously, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there's always gigs for you, Don. I'm sure.
Donnie's busy.
I've got a
Ronnie's busy.
couple good ones.
Greg's
What are you
always
doing?
busy.
Yeah, what's coming up?
Oh,
You
for
got
New-
gigs coming up in Buffalo and Rochester?
I do. I have some with Solar Extreme. I'm finishing up some gigs with the
Petty Project.
The Petty Project,
Right.
TPP, with Eric Ferrari and the guys.
Yeah.
Miss the guys. They're good guys. All of them.
Yeah.
Great players. So I got some things that are there, and if you are ready to go, I will be backing out of those gigs.
Ron and I are working together right now.
Too many drummers here.
Discussing.
I know
guitar
it's
players that they
It's done on purpose.
You should have brought your guitar, Don. Should have
we'll
brought your
stack the
guitar.
deck better next time.
You should have brought your guitar. I would have brought a kazoo. We would have outnumbered them.
I love playing guitar. I love guitar. It just doesn't love me back.
Oh, sure.
I went to the doctor. I had an operation. I had a tumor. And this is a true story. I had a tumor on my lung, and it had to come out, and it had to come out right away. So I get to the doctor's office. I said, "Well, Doc," I said, "You know, I'm a musician," and I said, "Well, after the surgery, will I be able to play the piano?" He goes, "Of course you will." I said, "Good, because I can't play it now." Ba-dum-bum.
I
Hey,
should pour this over your head.
Let's go. I said let's
Oh,
go.
yeah. I'm almost ready.
don't tell two more of those jokes.
I got to plug my dates for the
Yes.
next month.
Oh, go
ahead.
I may see if any of my students are listening. January 10th is the Songs Remain Led Zeppelin tribute at Iron Smoke.
Okay.
$10 cover. Great place. Tommy's a great guy.
Yep.
Always decorates it perfectly.
Oh, yes, he does.
And then I've
Little
got
Scully with little
yeah,
Scully.
yeah, they're everywhere. Halloween was the best there. This year.
Oh, it was hilarious.
But then I got the 16th with the Band on the Run, which is the debut gig for John Dretto's Sir Paul McCartney tribute.
Okay.
With,
Saw that.
Frank Shroud.
How many
and
songs you can choose
Carl
from him?
Laporta. Yeah, no, and we're doing a couple Beatles songs that he was popular for doing. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
And then I've got Buffalo with the Songs Remain at Rock and Roll Heaven on the 25th.
I'll be at that one.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Heaven.
I meant to come to your last one, and I didn't.
That's a cool club. People there were great.
Yeah, that's my...
I've never
he's
played
my-
there before.
He's been one of the main agents I've used. Dave
That's right.
Buffamani.
Yep, Buffamani.
My New Year's resolution is going to probably try to be get out and hear more people because
Yeah.
I get so nervous. Not nervous, but sometimes you play so much you want to stay home, and then you start going, I'm not seeing anybody. And then
Right.
I start thinking, oh, man, I want them to come out and hear me, and I should go out and hear them. And,
Yeah.
and then you get that whole,
Yeah.
You got to give what you get.
Well, I'm gonna want to go out, and I have to limit myself a little bit just for these various things. But I will be out there and out there.
Yeah.
Well, if I can, I'll promote you on here.
All right.
Yeah, I got to do a few acoustic shows this month. I've been doing assisted living places now because when my parents
wrong with
passed,
that.
Those are fun.
Those are nice.
I did one just for fun, and these people were so cool, and they
Yeah.
appreciated it so
They
much,
are.
even though I probably sucked. Because I was
We
just
doubt
learning how
that.
to. Well, no, I was learning how to play and sing.
I've
Okay.
always
No.
said, I've told the
I'm
story
trying to
about
do
my
that with my backing tracks.
Yeah.
Go and
Yeah.
play an old folks home or...
Yeah,
I
no,
told the
it's-
story
place to
many
play.
times about caregiving for my dad with dementia. And one of the things was, I would get the Florence Welk was on. I had
Yeah.
to put that on. But Phil Marshall came over and he played with them. And I used to say, you would hear them singing.
Yeah.
Hear them singing. And the thing was, I got my dad back for half
I
an
did
hour.
a
He
Tom
loved
Waits
it.
thing with him a couple weeks ago.
It's rewarding. It's
So
rewarding.
it does
no
mean
doubt.
something, and I think for
Sure
them,
it does.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it means
good.
a lot. And I know, like at Unity, they have those concerts, and they all love it. And I think there's something universal about music.
Oh yeah, my
Yeah.
father couldn't speak and he could sing. But if I played a song he knew from the 50s, he would sing it.
That was
but he
my
couldn't
dad. My
talk.
dad.
Cool, I
hit
read that
me-
on your newsletter.
My dad would hit me
Wow.
over the head with like dishes.
I do read
Would
that.
forget my name, but he would like
I can't
hearing when he was
believe
playing
it.
with
You're
Phil.
one of the few.
It was all there. The only thing, Don, you wouldn't have a problem with my dad because, don't you know any Red Skelton?
I would have learned it at this point in my life. I was, an idiot when I was younger. I'd say never. Now I would learn it.
I don't know if you could do like the hiccups and burps he does. When
Oh,
he
yeah.
goes to
They need
speeches.
They need good entertainment at those places because my mom, for example, she's been to Vegas. She's seen all kinds of freaking magic, everything. She's sitting there, and she was still with us. She knew who I was. and stuff. Oh, Ronnie, you came to see me. I'm sitting next to her, and she starts clapping for this terrible magic guy.
Yeah.
I go, put your hands down. She goes, what? I go, put your hands down. You've been to better bass. Cut this shit. He's terrible. And she goes,
Moms can be
you're
very
right.
embarrassing.
That's my son. That's my second. She goes, you're right. He's terrible.
I know even if we did like our jokes in one of those homes, they'd laugh at us.
Yeah.
Well, she said one time, she goes, I go, where's your new room? I don't know how to walk you back to your room. She goes, there's ducks. And there's ducks fucking all over this place, right? And I go, Ma, there's ducks everywhere. I go, no, there's ducks by my door. And I go, all right, I'll ask somebody where your room is. And we get close to her apartment, there's 2 ducks. And she's supposed to be losing it. And she knew exactly what she was saying.
See, my dad would see horses. Now they weren't there. But we're going to have, it's New Year's, Christmas, we're going to have our Christmas song. So we're going to have a Black Sheep Christmas song that's not about Christmas.
Yeah.
So we're New Year's, but you can consider it about New Year's if you want. So do you just have any idea what we're going to play? We're just going to play a song at the end, from,
this album. Turn the monitors up, the camera. We got this new album here. A song off to this album. You guys got any preferences? I was listening to it earlier.
We'll do the one that Ronnie wrote, Paying Your Dues.
I did not. I had the original idea. Johnny wrote the hook.
No, I didn't write the hook on that.
He wrote the band.
No, Bruce wrote that. I mean, I might have helped give it some body English, but you guys pretty much carried that one. I was a rookie. Look at me.
I was
a rookie.
18 years old.
You all did good. I feel like don't fight.
Yeah, and that was one of the most popular songs off there.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah, I remember that song.
Not one of my favorites.
No, I was partial to this one, Power to Heal.
Power to Heal.
Yeah. It's up a little bit more
Power to Heal is one of my favorites.
More pop.
Obviously, Let Me Stay blows me away.
We'll figure it out.
You know what?
We're going to put them to sleep.
Boys and
Stay
girls,
tuned for the
surprise. You won't get a song. It won't be a Black Sheep song.
I need to do something on Power to Heal.
Yeah, put Power to Heal on. It's something different.
Power to Heal, kids. Oh, that was my choice.
Hallelujah.
We are in agreement.
Yes.
God bless everybody. Thank you, Don and Ronnie.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Love's got the power to heal.
Yes.
Power to heal.